This is a letter you are not going to want to miss. It's actually going to be published out on Bloomberg shortly. Bill Ackman has sent a letter to the company, and in it he is saying, of my 15 years sitting on corporate boards, I have never sent a public letter. But basically, Eric, he's exasperated. He is saying we are no longer functioning as a unified board. It really seems, based from the tone of his letter, that there's a board within a board. And the interim CEO, Mike Ullman, though Bill was in support of bringing him in, seems, the way Bill's wording it, is that he's gone somewhat rogue. Bill is the largest shareholder. He is chairman of the finance committee, and based on this letter, he's saying he just doesn't know what's happening with inside the company. When Mike became CEO, he terminated Alex Partners, and he cut off Blackstone from access to information, and those two firms were analyzing the overall company. He went on to hire Ms. Berman, who is someone they knew from Kraft. Bill only learned about this crucial marketing hire from reading it on his Bloomberg terminal, and he's basically saying in order for this company to work, the board has to be fully informed, and right now that's not the case. As I mentioned, he feels like there is a board within a board, and as the largest shareholder, he feels like his only option right here, because he's banging his head against a wall, is to come out publicly and say, we don't have time to kind of pussyfoot around, and clearly, if the advisors that are currently advising Mike Ullman has brought in, well, they're not going to choose to terminate him. They're, quote unquote, his boys. It has to be a unified board where people can speak freely, and the hiring process, everyone can be vetted clearly, and that's not the case of what's going on right now. You know,
Steph,
Mike
hang on 1 second.
Robert Prusman and Centerview Partners, as I said, those are Mike's guys. How can a board truly evaluate things fairly when the CEO himself brings them in? That's the point Bill's trying to make here.
I've actually just myself had a chance to read through this letter and jump to the bottom to see what Bill's sort of final blow would be, and it says here, I have lost confidence in our chairman's ability to oversee this board. I would therefore recommend that Tom, meaning Tom Engevus, chairman of J.C. Penney, be replaced. This is war.
I mean, this is major, Eric. If you think about right now, J.C. Penney needs to be moving in one direction. As we spoke to Bill earlier this year, we were looking for big dates like Mother's Day, like when they were releasing their new home store, and the company is just not rowing in the same direction. And if they're not rowing in the same direction, how can they possibly win against their competitors? They can't. Bill sounds like he's in a desperate situation dealing with the board. He wants to get this company in line. He's got to get management in line, and that's what he's trying to do here.
Well, he has one problem, which is that he doesn't control the company, and as such, doesn't control the board, right? So he is almost, it seems to me, left with few choices but to wage his battle with Tom Engevus and what he would perceive to be a rogue group of directors inside the board inside the board, as you put it, in public.
But look,
he's in a tough spot.
If he doesn't control the company, Eric, he needs to get the public behind him. He needs to get other shareholders behind him who could see what's going on inside this board. If you're not chairman of the finance committee, if you're not the largest shareholder, if you're simply a J.C. Penney shareholder in general, you don't have privilege to this kind of information. So Bill hasn't reached out publicly before, as I said, in the 15 years he sat on boards. But at this point, he feels like he needs to, because other people need to know, hey, we're not moving in the same direction. If this company's got a chance, we need to. The
question ultimately, though, is on whose side are the other investors? They're all mindful of the fact that J.C. Penney's shares are doing terribly, and they clearly want to turn around to the company, but who are they going to side with? Are they going to side with Bill Ackman, or are they going to side with Tom Engevus, the chairman, who, for the time being, seems to support Mike Ullman? Do you have any sense?
I don't have sense at this point, and the question is, how much time is there? Remember, this company is chugging along day in, day out. We're in back-to-school shopping right now, where the Targets and Kohl's of the world are out there selling merchandise. Is J.C. Penney doing it? So while they're having a fight among shareholders and board members, what's the company doing? Is there enough time? Is there enough cash to keep this company afloat while this is happening? Unclear at this point. Bill seems like, I don't want to say his back is against a wall in a bad way. His back's against a wall. He's got to take the control that he's got to try to get consensus behind him. Let's see if it works.
Well, Bill Ackman, as we know, Stephanie, is not shy of explosive situations, but in this case, he seems to be throwing dynamite on the fire. Bill Ackman in a war of words and more with J.C. Penney.